Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's crack?
On episode 197 of the Shite podcast show. Smooth as always.
Yeah, always a smooth
Smooth entry, yeah, exactly. We should call this episode or podcast the Turbulence podcast because it's always shaky on takeoff.
What?
I don't know. I've never experienced turbulence. I thought that's what it was.
Oh. So what's on the show today, Mark?
So the show today, Ken, is kind of like, I think we have something for everybody. And I know I kind of say this a lot, but I genuinely believe today we have something for everybody.
We generally say this a lot, and then we isolate a whole country.
Yeah, then we pick a country and mock them, and then we move on. We're like, yeah, so everyone got something out of this then. But this one, we don't just pick one country, but we picked loads of countries, and it's kind of varied. So Thailand's first, and they have a new prison system where they allow their prisoners to fight for freedom. There's actually going to be a documentary about this coming out on some US channel. Hopefully Netflix picks it up over here. Yeah, so we're talking about that today. So I don't know if they'll let dangerous convicted criminals, because I imagine if you're really like dangerous, but you can fight while you're probably in prison in the begin with, letting you out of prison because you can fight doesn't really make sense.
It's Thailand.
Yeah,
a lot of things in Thailand don't make sense.
They love to fight as well. Then we talk about a woman who woke up $50 billion in debt, Ken.
Like, that's a hell of a shopping spree.
Well, I don't know if she was out the night before. And like, have you ever woken up the night before after like a night out and you're being like fearful to look at your bank account to see what you spent?
Not really.
No.
No. I have to be smart. I don't bring any cards when I'm going out. I just bring
cash. That is smart.
Anyway,
I go to an ATM before I go out and I take cash out, like just use that, and then I sometimes just use my card when I'm on and I go, oh, I wonder how much I actually spent.
Or you lose your card.
Yeah, or lose my wallet.
Or you lose your wallet.
Let's not talk about that story. Yeah, so like moving on. So that's the one who woke up 50 billion. Lucky enough, I've never woken up that much in debt. And we'll be talking about, we have another update. So we had last week we had an update on 10 babies that were born all at once. It's 10. What was the name for 10 babies? A fuckload of babies.
Fuckload of babies.
I think it was nursery. I think that's the technical name. It was a nursery of babies. And it was the first time a nursery of babies were ever born. Or a gang of babies. Wasn't it called a gang? It was another name for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Or a pack of babies.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, a pack of babies. Because I think that I just like the image of a pack of babies.
A fucking shit ton.
It's a lot of babies. Anyway, they were the first ever 10 babies all born at once. Ken had a juicy update last week. We didn't even get time to. We had just too much stories to talk about the juicy update. But luckily enough, we didn't, because you have yet another update.
There's another juicy update
on the pack of babies.
The
shower of babies.
You're going to like this one, Mark.
And is it even better than last week's one? Because last week's one, even though our listeners didn't get to hear, I liked our last week's one.
It's a lot better than last week's one.
That means absolutely nothing for our listeners, because once again they didn't get their chance. We should probably update them first on when we were talking about on what was last week's update.
We'll go through last week's update
then we'll go into this week's update, and then maybe next week we'll have another update. This is really the unfolding story that we never really expected when we first started talking about a woman just giving birth to 10 babies. We thought, that's fucking insane. Her child getting a minor is going to be impossible.
Yeah, like, God help her.
Oh yeah, like good luck to her. Funny enough, they never said that about the dad. For good reason. He's gone. He ain't come back.
He's now in Australia.
He's now on the other side of the world. Yeah, and then we have a story. It was from last week as well. We didn't get time to do a lot of our stories last week, so we have a lot of spillover. It's a fast food chain where the staff got arrested for not giving the police free burgers. Apparently, this doesn't happen in Ireland. Apparently, Ireland Gardaí are quite low, but they're not even allowed to take bribes. No, not meant to anyway.
You're not allowed to take bribes. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. Well, allegedly, let's just fire allegedly.
No cops are allowed to take bribes.
In Thailand now. I think it's not even frowned upon in Thailand. Allegedly.
Imagine like the Garda handbook says no taking bribes. And when they brought that one in, they brought
here, this is getting a joke.
How am I supposed to do my job? I'm not taking bribes.
I'm not allowed to do mixers either. Yeah, it's like, and then we only have one idiot a week, and it's of a pet owner that before putting a shock collar on his dog, he put it on himself to test it out, and no longer has a shock collar because he refuses to put it on the dog. You had the same theory. You were saying you were talking to somebody, and it was like, the only way you should use that if you put it on first, let yourself shock it, because at least then you know how it feels.
Yeah, like we had a dog that always ran away, and shit that the dog always runs away. But my mom was like, "Oh, we get a shock collar," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, we can get a shock collar. We just put the shock collar on first."
I imagine if you started electrocuting your dog who keeps running away, he's going to try to run away more. That's not going to lessen the idea of the dog goes, "Oh, I feel more loyal to this person now."
The theory was that because you can set your shock collar thing like your limit like a meter away from your actual boundary of your house.
Oh, right.
So you set it 3 feet away from where he's actually trying to run away from.
Oh, right. Imagine doing that with
he gets
a child.
The shock. Yeah, so he gets the shock before he gets to where he wants to go.
Well, actually, it might work for children because you have a lot of kids, like 10 babies.
Yeah, you could have 10 babies.
You have 10 babies, right? Keeping an eye on all of them is going to be a nightmare. So you put them all of these, like, not around their necks. I think that might be cool, but maybe around their wrists or something. And you give them these shock collars. So if they leave more than a few feet away from you, they get shocked, and then you hear a scream, and you go, "Oh, there, come back here, you."
I don't know if you'd be allowed to do that, Mark.
Somehow I think PC culture has that idea ruined.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. I don't even think PC culture has that ruined. I just think maybe that's just not something you should do.
Yeah, I think child services has. Yeah, but like at least you'll have your the state might intervene when you start electrocuting your kids. But like for the time being, you'd have your kids all, because I remember we used to get lost the whole time. There was like only 5 of us in our family. We, like the supermarket guaranteed one of us is going to go missing. You imagine if they come immune to the shock, they wouldn't even. Whatever.
Are you the only boy?
Yeah.
So you were always the one that went missing.
Yeah. Well, I always and still do just stare at the ground when I walk. Did this as a child, so I'd be almost just follow my dad's feet, and then I turned up. It wasn't actually my dad's feet. Some man. Like, "You're not my dad." He's like, "Yeah, obviously." Yeah. So you should always look up, look where you're going. It's my advice.
Oh. Yeah, I got lost in the supermarket before, and I just remember it was in Newbridge. I just remember like standing there crying.
Yeah, like when you're a kid, it's like, oh my god, I'm going to be lost forever.
Yeah, because you don't think, my parents are going to come looking for me.
No, they're gone. They're going to forget I even exist.
They don't even remember who I am.
Yeah, there's too many of us. Yeah, like, lucky enough, most of the time when we did get forgotten behind, it was like in our house. It was like they'd left, they'd forgot to put one of the kids in the car, and we'd just be left alone. But yeah, like, it is a nightmare, especially with like 10 kids. Definitely, a milder version of a shotgun. It's just like a zappy or alarm, maybe. Which one?
Like a rape alarm.
Yeah, exactly. You're giving your kids rape alarms.
That would actually be pretty fucking funny.
Well, yeah, but imagine in a supermarket, someone's kid is there.
Somebody's kid's gone fucking AWOL.
I know you can. I think Apple have like these little. They're like coins, but you can sew them into clothes and like that. If you were worried about your kid or you want to know where your kid is, you can just like put them this like GPS tracking device and you'll be able to have an idea where they are.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. If you do have a lot of kids and you're kind of careless with them.
You're kind of careless with, like, if you have 10 babies.
Like, if you had 10, you're not even careless. That's impossible. Especially if the dad fecked off. I don't know. I've made up a whole story in my head. I don't even know if the dad has. He could have been the most like loving, caring dad in the world. I just imagine if it was me and a woman had 10 babies, I'd be gone. I wouldn't be there. I'd be somewhere else. I'd be in Barbados.
Saving your money.
Saving my money. Yeah. But anyway, we should get on with it because we're not going to have time for the 10 babies again, and that'd be tragedy. This story, every time we talk about it, gets bigger and bigger. But this is kind of a weird. All of them are kind of weird, but this is a weird one from Thailand, and they have a new kind of a prisoner rehabilitation program, which allows their prisoners to fight for time off their sentence. So basically, you can pretty much fight for your freedom.
Like, is there any conditions on it? Like, is it like accept murder or anything?
Yeah, no, they don't let like murderers fight for their freedom. Like, probably going to be sentenced to death, but specifically target certain prisoners in India who have shown that they have made an attempt to at least rehabilitate themselves, and they have proven themselves to be worthy of this opportunity. And basically, have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
No.
So in Game of Thrones, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, there's a thing called trial by combat. You might have heard of it before, but it's this mental idea that no matter what your crime was, that you could fight for your freedom. That the gods would, if you were innocent or worthy of being let free, that the gods would show favor on you and allow you to win. And if you lost, you'd be sentenced to death. And you didn't even have to fight. You could pick a champion so you could pick some other person to fight to death for you. And they would be your champion who would fight for you to prove that like you were innocent. And yeah, it's just mental. So this program started back in 2012, where it gave certain prisoners the opportunity to take on a foreign fighter in return to slash their sentence. If they won, they get the time off or possibly even left free. And if they lost, they would just have to return back to jail and their sentence wouldn't be touched.
It's kind of win-win.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is win-win. Like, I don't know, but if you're just shit at fighting, let's say like you're in prison for like tax evasion or something kind of crazy, and like you're a model kind of prisoner, but like you're shit at fighting because you have to fight a professional Thai fighter. So
what you're saying is you should be a professional Thai fighter before you start committing crime.
I think most people are, or at least have trained. Like, I think Thai fighting or Muay Thai is kind of like Ga here. Everybody has tried it at least once in their lives. Like, if you're from Thailand, I imagine. Like, and remember how I mentioned that this is kind of like Game of Thrones trial by combat?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones started in 2011. And I'm nearly certain that trial by combat was in like the first season, if not the second. So I think the prison officer was watching Game of Thrones and gone, that's an amazing idea, and has just brought a lesser version of a trial by combat and allowed prisoners to like have a trial by combat.
Just I know what we'll do.
Yes, and you have to do bare knuckle or with those ropes because they have.
Oh Jesus!
No, I think they give you boxing gloves. Imagine if they had to give you those ropes. That fucking because those ropes just cut you to fuck up. They used to like fight with ropes. I think in some parts they still do. And yeah, the ropes it's so much friction, like bounces off your skull. But you have to fight like a proper professional fucking Muay Thai fighter. It's bad if
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be ideal.
Yeah, because when I first heard foreign, you had to fight a foreign fighter. I was like, imagine going on your holidays and somehow managing that, like you decided like to do a bit of Muay Thai while you're over in Thailand, and you see yourself fighting some guy who's in there for like robbing a bank or like some kind of whatever crime that he's in, and you're fighting him. He like knowing that like if he doesn't win, he has to go back to prison. Like he's gonna be highly motivated, and you just wanted to get fit while you're on your like 6-month work break. I was like, no, I do not want to fight the Thai prisoner. You have to fight the Thai prisoner.
Yeah,
you have to fight him. Fight now.
You fight now.
You fight now. And if you win, we'll give you some money. And you're like, oh, well, this is like only €15. Like, your money's completely useless to me.
Yeah, what the fuck is
you
this?
fight now. Like, this, like I can't do anything with this. It's 15,000 yen. I don't know if yen is their currency. We're being really bad at the Thais.
By Thailand.
Yeah, by ever being shown in their country again. Yeah, but like if they lose, they have to return to their cell, and like I said, and the professional fighter gets his money, and off he goes. He gets a suitcase of money, goes off. That's it. I think America has a similar program. I don't know if they get time slashed off their sentence, but they play basketball against like a professional basketball team. I think Netflix had a documentary about it. It's like prison basketball, and they sent in the Warriors. I don't know what their actual name is. That's their nickname. Kind of like Chicago's Bulls, but they sent Golden State Warriors, and they played a basketball game against prisoners. Yeah, and I think the prisoners one of them was in prison for like murder. Some guy banged on his window in his car, and your man killed him. He said he regretted it. He said he regretted it. It was a mistake. He just had a rush of blood to the head. But yeah, that's insane. Thailand has brought in a trial by combat. So if you felt, if you ever go to prison, or if you're listening from prison, and you're like, I would love to have a trial by combat. See if you can get your like sentence moved over to Thailand and demand a trial by combat. You might get your head kicked in by a Thai. More like you will. Because he's going to be a professional fighter. But you can take your chances. Swing for the fences. Yeah. Our next story, like, I don't know what you were maybe she had to pay off like a Thai fighter so she didn't have to fight him. But imagine she would need $50 billion, but she woke up with negative 50 billion in her bank account.
Imagine that.
I have woken up to fear where I didn't want. I knew I spent it a lot, and I didn't want to think. You wake up kind of rat arse, and you're on the couch. And you're like you're trying to forget about what happened the night before, and you drank way too much. Like you made an ass of yourself. You're hoping you didn't say something inappropriate, but you probably did, and you're just like, oh, what was the damage? How much did I actually spend? How did I get home? And there's that bit where you're like, oh, will I check it or will I just leave it? I don't even think she was rat-arsed. I don't think she was out drinking the night before. I think she just kind of woke up at 2 a.m. and was like, I'm going to check my bank account for whatever reason. And seeing that she was pretty much $50 billion in debt.
That's also weird. Like, what made her check her bank account at like 3 o'clock in the fucking morning?
I don't know if she was out. Maybe she was out drinking or whatever. But imagine kind of, unless you were like I said, rat arse and you're kind of. But yeah, 2 a.m. You're not going. But whatever reason, she woke up and just decided to check her bank out and just seen that her name is Maddie McGriven. It's given with or at the end. McGriven is her name. And like that, she woke up at 2 a.m. and seen that she was 49,999,697.98 in debt.
At least they left something.
Yeah, so she was obviously she was quite shocked and felt like, oh, I better call the bank to see what the fuck is wrong or how do I resolve this debt. So the bank call went something like this. She banks with Chase Bank in the US, by the way. And she goes, hello, Chase Bank. How may I help you? She goes, hi, I have negative $50 billion in debt and I'm not quite sure why. And I went quite silent there for a bit. She goes, do I have $15 billion? No, I have $76. So your one on the line was like, can you hold the line? And in a while came back and she was like, this has never happened before. I've no idea why you're $50 billion in debt. But she had some good news for her.
Oh, what was the good news?
She said, apparently you're going to receive $50 billion. But in 2099, so 2099, she was going to receive $50 billion. So she's just going to have to hold tight and maybe just make the best of her repayments of her $50 billion. And like in 2099, her grandkids or great grandkids will get $50 billion. You mightn't have a house or a pot to piss in, but your grandkids will probably get $50 billion.
Yeah.
So she asked the bank and she come in and sort this fucking mess out. They said, yeah, sure, I'll make an appointment. So she had to go into the bank. And apparently, after we went into the bank, this is actually a tactic that banks are employing, or at least Chase Bank is employing, is that if there's something wrong with your account, they put it minus $50 billion in debt. So to grab your attention, so you'll ring them. And like so you'll ring them, you'll actually go in to make an appointment so you can sort your shit out because there's something in your bank account that needs to be fucking fixed. So they put it like negative $50 billion and you're like, oh shit, what I can't make any repayments now. So you have to go into the bank account and be like, what's the story? And they're like, hey, we'd be meaning to talk to you. You're not $50 billion in debt, but you do have this outstanding loan. It's not as 50 billion, but you need to sort it out. But so like they were able to fix the problem. She won't be getting 50 billion in by 2099, well at least not off the Chase Bank. And yeah, I just thought it was mental.
Yeah, that's
like it's like the tactic will definitely work. Like if you were to wake up with $50 billion in debt, you're gonna ring the bank.
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna be like, what is going on?
But like the thing is, like she checked it at 2 a.m. That's kind of a fluke that you checked it at 2 o'clock in the morning. But imagine like the next day she wakes up and she was negative $49 billion. So there wouldn't be any money in her bank account, and she goes to pay for fuel, or she goes to pay for, if they did it while she was out in a restaurant. Like, are they going to let the transaction go through? Or are they going to, or is she going to add it to her debt? Like, whatever with that meal? Or would she be like, you have no money? And you're like, wait, what the fuck? Please ring the bank. You have $50 billion in debt.
I don't regularly check my fucking bank account.
Yeah, no, I have very low spending. So I was like, I pretty know there's just money there. Like I can pay for my lunch. I'm pretty sure I can pay.
like, so I don't know. Like, it's quite possible that could happen to me sometime.
Yeah, well, I don't know what she never went into detail what her actual issue was, like what they wanted to speak to her about. But whatever it was, there's obviously something wrong with her account that needed to be fixed, and he wanted to grab her attention. Instead of ringing her and be like, "Hey, Flood Chase Bank, we have this problem with your account. We need these details. Can you send them over?" They're like, "No, poor account negative $50 billion. That'll grab our attention."
As you do,
Like, that's such a fucking fucked up tactic. Or like, we need to grab your attention. We're going to throw negative 50 billion on your account. You might be able to pay for your car fuel or your kids, like lunch. Like, but like, who cares? Like, get in here. We need you to sign these documents. Yeah, like, it's fucking insane. It's like, I had to go to the guard station. I couldn't pay for my fuel.
I got arrested.
Yeah, but I really need you to sign these forms.
I wonder, like, if she did, say she went somewhere and she wasn't able to pay for her fuel, like, surely that counts as like theft.
Yeah, exactly. That's I mean, like, maybe like what would just happen was whatever was in your bank account, you could still access it. But, like, obviously then it would be subtracted the amount that you owe back to the bank. So, like, the fact that it wasn't 50 billion was they said the $76, which she didn't have that much in her bank account anyway. The $76 that was there were subtracted from the 50 billion that she owed. So I imagine that if they actually took that $76, then that should be kind of theft, especially if you needed to pay for like fuel or pay for something. Like, if she was only getting paid at the end of the month, she's waiting on like on a paycheck to come in. Yes, that definitely would count as theft. Like a bank can be like, "Oh well, we're just holding it in out of your account so you can sign these forms." Like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like, that's really fucking strange.
Yeah, no, like I said, I imagine that. Maybe if she was out, we don't know what she was doing. I'd imagine it would be kind of strange if she woke up in the middle of the night and gone, "I must check my bank account." And I was like, for some reason, it was like, "Oh, negative 50 billion." Maybe she was out and she was like, "Oh, I wonder how much money I've left from this." Maybe she was at dinner or whatever. Or she went out for drinks with her friends. I was like, "I wonder how much I have. Do I have enough for lunch?" The next day, or do I have enough to fill up my car? And she realized, no, I don't. I'm in debt like a small country. like it bankrupt Ireland when we went 100 billion in debt, and there's a lot of us.
Yeah, like...
Imagine one person being 50 billion in debt.
Imagine what a shock.
Oh yeah, if it did happen, and be like, I'm what in debt? Like, if you imagine especially if it happened, like, you're at a dinner and, like, you went pay for something and it's like, "Oh no, your card got rejected." And you're like, "Hold on a second, let me just check my bank account." You open up your app and you're like,
"What the
negative point?" It's like, "Oh, right, well, hey, guys, can you spot me money?"
How much do you need? 50 billion?
I'm 50 billion in debt. Something must have been back paid. Anyway, we must move on because we have a lot of stories. And one of the stories we have to get through is about the pack of babies, the 10 babies. And we had an update.
Pack of babies.
Yeah, so, like, we should have, first of all, in case people didn't listen to the episode about where we actually mentioned the babies. So there's a woman who is from Africa, but she's living in Italy now. She was the first woman in history to have 10 babies all at once. The previous record was 9. She had 10. They didn't even have a name for what to call it. I think they've came up with now, it was a nursery of babies, so it's not triplets or whatever. We went through all the different variants of what 4 babies are called, which is like quadruplets. What was 9 babies called? You remember?
No, I don't fucking know.
I think it was nuntucklets or something. It was something like that, or 9 tucklets.
I think it's just too many.
Yeah, it's way too many. But I think after we got to 10 and they didn't have a name for it, so they just called it Nursery of Babies. And then we're like, oh, I wonder what, like a group of babies. You know, like you have a pack of dogs, a pod of seagulls, a shower of, can't say the word apparently, and but like, and then we found out there was like either a gang of babies or a pack of babies was also acceptable, or a nursery of babies also was used. So anyway, but Ken last week had an update. So what was the update last week that we didn't get through?
The update for last week was that since she had the babies, the father of the babies had come out and said, I don't know where she is or where these babies are.
Where are my babies? That's basically what's bad.
She was preventing him from seeing. He knew she went to hospital or whatever, but she was preventing him from coming to see her, from seeing the babies, from talking to him at all. Like, she was just hiding away from him, and she was
trying to get on the Italian equivalent of it's not Jerry Springer. What's the
Jeremy Kyle?
Jeremy Kyle. She's trying to get on the Italian version of Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah, she was just like, no, you can't come see the babies. You can't see me. And he's like, where are you? I can't tell you where I am. So that was last week's update.
So like, he actually, I remember we was talking about it last week. He was actually questioning it if the babies are actually real. So was the juicy thing about the story last week was he wrote to a newspaper saying, I'm not even too sure she even had 10 babies. There's there's no record of these 10 babies, and she's not letting me see these 10 babies. How am I to know they actually even exist, or you have actually exist? No one has seen the 10 babies. So that was the big juicy topic of last week.
That was the big juicy bit last week. That
they possibly, like, the 10 babies mightn't be real.
And are you ready for this week's update?
So this week's update, which is also the last update, was also this week's update. But go on.
Are you sitting now?
I am. So
she is now in a psychiatric ward.
What? How are the babies? Like, I'm now really concerned about the babies. Why is she in a psychiatric ward?
Because the babies are not real.
The babies aren't real.
No.
How just like this was on Joe.ie. This was like on RTE. This is like mainstream publications. I'm like, we're talking about these 10 babies. How come no one did a follow-up story?
Yeah, the babies are not real. She was.
It took the Shite podcast show to do this update.
She apparently decuplets is 10 babies.
Oh, what decuplets?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Decuplets.
So she was taken to a psychiatric ward last week in Johannesburg and examined by a medical team, and they found that she had no signs of recent pregnancy, no sign of recent childbirth, no indication of a C-section, and she's now been held against her will in a psychiatric ward.
But like, surely a psychiatric ward wasn't the best thing to do, like to check to see if you were pregnant. Like, do all these examinations.
I'd say it was probably like, the whole going missing and the father being like, I have so many questions that we'll get to it, right?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we'll break down what all of our questions is, and unfortunately, we're not going to get any answers.
But the questions will be asked.
Yeah, and maybe somebody can come back to us with the answers.
Yeah. So I think this all kicked off because there was no record of these births.
Yeah.
So like local doctors and stuff, when she was on TV and she was on the news stuff, local doctors and stuff were like, what the fuck? Who is this woman?
Yeah, which hospital had 10 babies?
Yeah, so they could find no records in the health system of this woman giving birth. So
it's just an odd thing to say that, like, I had 10 babies. Like, what was my record? And like, how, like how people like to boast that they did stuff, and it's really like kind of can be a little bit hard to prove that if they did or didn't. So like, like, oh, I'm an All-Ireland champion at table tennis. And like, Oh, all right, cool. And they show you some medal that they have. They're like, all right, whatever. But like, surely 10 babies, you can't hide or make 10 babies up unless you just had these kids stored away. And you're like, yep, these are my 10 babies. You're probably going to jail for a different thing then.
So she contacted her lawyer, right? Her solicitor or whatever. And
how many kids do you have?
She told him that she doesn't want to go to the hospital and that she's not mental. But he convinced her to go to the hospital and get a psychiatric evaluation. That's basically it.
Like, how did this make like mainstream news if like there wasn't a record?
Because the father started questioning it.
Yeah, but like, surely journalists should like start questioning. Surely one of the things that was like, oh, do you mind if I photograph you with your 10 babies?
It was probably first broadcast on some like, you know, really kind of small news outlet in Africa, and somebody just probably picked it up eventually, and nobody bothered to
Do
check
research.
it up on it. Yeah,
Like, I'm not surprised no one bothered to do proper research in it. Like, in terms of like, it can catch as a wildfire because if one sort of trusted news source reports on it, then all the other news sources are going to put them as a reference. So it'll be as reported by whatever. Like all of our stories, we're not journalists. We just get them from different websites off things. So like we probably should be like, oh, we got this story from Lad's Bible, or we got this story from the Independent, because it's not where we got our news source. But if anyone questioned us on it, we'll be like, we have this source over here somewhere. But like, we're not journalists. No one expects us to be factually right. I'm pretty sure that's the other reason why people don't listen to us, is because like, this is two weird guys talking about weird things.
It's all in the name of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it shouldn't hold up in court. Like, well, the Shite Talk podcast show we're talking about, like, oh well, that they're a trusted source of information, aren't they? They seem very reliable, two lads.
Like, there's members of her family now that are saying that, no, she did actually give birth to these babies, but we can't show you where they are.
We can't show you or see them, and we don't need to take photos of them.
And then, so my main question, I'm going to get to the questions of this.
Yeah.
My main question in this is, how did she, if she's living with her husband and they're sleeping in the same bed, and she's faking a pregnancy. I see a photo of her, like she got a very big baby bump. How did she disguise that from her husband?
Yeah, well, I don't know if are they actually married?
Yeah, I think so. Hang on, I think it says her husband.
It could be just that they're not actually married, but like, okay, Ken, sometimes people drink and then you just do things and forget to wear things, or you forget to take a certain pill, and a few months later you have a whole mess you have to clean up. And if the woman won't get an abortion, well, good golly, you're gonna have a little boy or a girl. And unfortunately, she had apparently a lot of little boys and girls.
Yeah, like they couldn't.
They might be separated if they are married. The
woman's partner.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm assuming they like at least live together. Like, there's photos here of them sitting up on the couch together.
Yeah.
And she's very heavily pregnant.
But see, that's my biggest question. Like, why would you lie about having 10 babies? Like, it's gonna be very hard for you to disguise one baby that you don't have, let alone fucking 9 others.
Yeah, like, and then, I really don't understand how he doesn't know.
Like, do you know anybody that spoofs about it and you're like 99.9% sure that it isn't accurate about them, but like they keep going on as if it is pure fact?
Yeah, lots of people like that.
There's a lot of poo talkers in Ireland who boast about doing stuff they've never done in their life. But generally, it's about something abstract and that can't really be proven, and there isn't really a record because it was so long ago, and they didn't have newspapers back then. But like,
They didn't have newspapers back then.
but like, like nowadays, like 10 babies is like you're gonna have evidence for next good few years that like these babies are gonna exist.
Yeah.
But no, not RTE, not any UK newspaper. No one questioned this source. They're like, okay, the woman had 10 babies. I haven't seen any photos of the 10 babies. Let's write a story. Let's report on this as if it's fact.
I bet you none of them will come out and say, "Oh, here we fucked up this."
Yeah, like trust mainstream media.
Shite Talk podcast show. The only ones bringing you the truth.
Only ones bringing the truth as it happens, and we're not afraid to say we fucked up. More than likely, we kind of put as a precursor that we have already fucked up.
It's kind of a
except it's kind of just nice when we don't fuck up, when we don't say pure either libel. What's you call it when you libel? What's it? Yeah, when we libel someone or we say something that's not true about someone else, or we make some over the top opinions about a country's law system that we might have made today. Yeah, that's crazy. At least she doesn't have to ever worry about a babysitter, because like I was fearing for her ever being able to go on a night out again.
Well, there's your.
Well, then again, we know people that had one baby and they're never able to go out again. They're like, oh, I have a kid, I can't go out. I have a child. Social life gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like
you'll see him again.
Will I?
Yeah, you will.
When the kid's 18.
I wonder, does he still listen?
He's just at home and his baby. Of course, he can't just watch Netflix.
Well, you know, he does work.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he?
He works with somebody else that listens to the podcast.
All right. He probably works from home, though.
No.
Does he not?
No, he's not working from home.
All right. So, like, being a lawyer.
Yeah, no, he's not doing that either.
All right. Jesus. See, he doesn't keep up his update. He's a silent man. Our former lawyer.
Our former lawyer.
And current accountant.
Current accountant.
Yeah. We should move on to our stories, because we won't get through this show. We have kind of a weird story last week as well about, and I was kind of asking you last week, does this happen in Ireland that much? Is there kind of a thing that you give police free stuff? And you're like, well, no, they're not even really meant to accept anything, even if it wasn't a bribe. Like, they couldn't accept food, or because it's seen as a bribe, or at least they have to declare, oh, they gave me a free chicken roll.
Yeah.
But apparently in Pakistan, it's kind of like expected that you give police free shit. And there's this like fast food restaurant where the staff just refuse to give the police officers free burgers.
Of course they do.
So apparently what happened was, the first time they approached him, like asked him for free burgers, your man threw a bit of one police officer threw a bit of a hissy fit in the restaurant and left. So that was like, and then but the next day he came, and after the guys refused him the day before of giving them free food, with like more officers, and arrested all the staff. So they didn't just arrest the manager, arrest everyone. And they didn't let them turn off the machines, off the tills, and they just, whatever they're doing, they had to stop what they're doing, and they're all arrested for not giving police a free burger.
Imagine, like, what would happen when you got back to the state or going to court?
Yeah.
What are they arrested for? They didn't give me free shit.
They didn't give me fucking free shit. We'll make up stuff about them. We found drugs. We can plan shit, right? No, we can't. He can't plan shit. So like he was harassing them the day before, and then like he said, he turned up with in force, arrested them all, and the owner's like, we did nothing wrong. What are you going to charge us with? And obviously this got out, but the police arrest him over the free stuff. So then the police officers got fined or got suspended for doing this, and the people were released.
Does it stay on their record?
I don't know. They just I imagine it would be wiped clean. I imagine that the state now has a lawsuit on their hands, false imprisonment.
It's just fucking brilliant.
Yeah, they weren't able to switch off their tills. They were just the officer who were involved has now been suspended, not even fired. The senior police officer followed up saying no one is above the law or take the law in their own hands. Injustice will not be tolerated. But they're only suspended. They're not fired.
You have to suspend somebody before you can fire them.
Oh, fair enough. Well, yeah, but when you say no one can take the law under their own hands, but isn't it a police officer's job to take the law in their own hands?
Isn't it in the job description?
I'm pretty sure that's part of their job. I don't think he was enforcing the law. This he should have came out and said no one can arrest anyone for not giving them free shit. Everyone has to pay for their meals. We don't tolerate bribes. Well, not in food anyway.
Nobody take the law into their own hands. It's my job.
It is my fucking job. What are you talking about? It's literally what I'm paid to do, is take the law into my own hands.
I've literally got one job.
That's taking the law into my hands. That is my job. What are you talking about? Yeah, but imagine just being in the restaurant where you're sitting down with your friends or whoever, and you have food on the table and you're watching, and a gang of police officers come in, start harassing all the staff, arrest everyone in the store, and just leave with them all in chains. Probably go back to get the burgers anyway. I'm taking this fucking burger.
Yeah, I'm taking this fucking dick.
But I think it was shared on Twitter about what happened, and that caused uproar.
Not Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter, the shitstorming of all the social media.
Yeah, Twitter just loves a good row.
Oh yeah, I remember someone describing Twitter as the internet equivalent of shouting out the window and hoping people are listening. I think that was a pretty good description on Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate. Now we're on to our idiots of the week. This is part of the show created for idiots, by idiots. And it's where we talk about people doing dumb things. And normally we have loads of idiots. But this week we only have one idiot. And I definitely think he is a worthy idiot of the week. And it's about a dog owner who decided to try on his dog's shock collar, but full power, while his wife Sandra filmed. So the man's called Steve Yandel, and he's 59. His wife is Sandra, and they have a dog called Tilly. And before putting the shock collar on Tilly, he decided to take matters into his own hands and try it on himself to feel what the shock is like. You're agreeing with the sentiment, Ken?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
You think if you are going to put a shock collar on a dog, you should at least know what it feels like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of our listeners that would agree with you. It's probably also agree that you probably shouldn't put a shock collar on a dog.
Yeah, I wouldn't really put I'd never put a shock collar on a dog.
Yeah. Anyway, the only wrinkle in Steve's plan is his friend Paul, who sounds like a bit of a prankster. Without Steve known, he actually cranked the thing up to full blast. He put it up as high as he can go, because man obviously thought it was, there are obviously different settings, and thought it was just on either a low setting or a normal setting that wasn't bad. But Paul, Steve known, put it up full blast. So when he got zapped, zapped with thousands of volts of electricity by the anti-barking collar. So the idea of this collar was, anytime you bark or your dog barks, the collar goes off and you get shocked.
Why do you even need something that's that strong?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe because I don't know if certain bigger dogs mightn't necessarily notice a small shock. You need, I don't know. Surely that would just cause pain to the animal.
Yeah.
I would understand if it didn't kind of give him a little zolt, but wasn't actually sore. But if it was something that was up, that you can crank up to a point where it actually hurts the dog. Like, that shouldn't be allowed. And the thing was, it stops the dog from barking. Allegedly, it stops the dog from barking. However, it makes a noise before it zaps you. So that would be just as annoying as a barking dog.
Yeah.
Especially if the dog barks a lot. And then it zaps the dog.
Yeah, that's gonna make your dog even more pissed off.
Yeah, so Steve got an almighty shock, collapsed over his couch while Paul and Sandra pissed themselves laughing at him in pain. Steve, on the other hand, was swearing and trying to get the collar off as quick as possible. Which as I was kind of wondering, I didn't watch the video on it, but I was wondering if him swearing would it mimic him barking. So would it more he screamed, more he got shocked.
I'd say so, because it doesn't just work on
noise.
Your voice box. It doesn't even work on noise. It just works on voice box movement.
Oh, right, because I was wondering if obviously if it goes on volume, your house might be a loud house. You're not getting shocked for no reason.
Yeah, no, it goes on voice box movement. There's two little kind of prongs that stick into the neck a little bit.
And then obviously, and when they sense vibration.
When it senses vibration, then it goes shocked.
So yeah, he was cursing and swearing, probably still getting shocked.
That's brilliant.
So he was then trying to remove obviously the collar from his neck because he was shocking him, but his hands were shaking so much that he actually couldn't take off the collar itself. After trying on the collar, he decided that he wasn't going to put on his dog Tilly. That was obviously wasn't a good idea to shock the dog that badly.
Yeah, or at all.
Yeah, like we said, we don't understand why. I'm not a fan of dogs. I wouldn't have a dog if it was up to me. I think, all right, fair enough. I don't mind other people's dogs. If there's a dog in somebody's house, I'll pet it. Grand.
Your dogs are grand. I don't mind your dogs.
Nah, they're assholes. Oh,
they bark at me absolutely every time I go in there.
They bark at everybody. We come into the house and they bark at us. They're like, "Why are you here?" And then they come in. They're like, "Oh, give me food." Actually, yeah, I'll have some food. But then you leave and they start barking at you again. They're like, "Wait, why are you back?" Actually, can I have more food? And that's basically my dogs. It's we don't care if you don't have food, don't talk to me, or if you're not going to bring me on a walk. I want to be brought on a walk and fed. That's
every dog.
And you can't bring them on the walks even because you bring them outside the house, right? And he starts shaking. This was a bad idea. Why are you bringing me outside the house? I don't like walks. But if you say walks to them, they're like, yeah. What did you say? Walk?
Sometimes I'll do it if I'm in my friend's house. I'll just when I'm leaving, I'm going to just walk to my car, and the dog will come mental. Oh yeah, I'll say sometimes I'll say Puncherstown. I'm going to Puncherstown, or I'm going to the canal. I start talking like that, and they're like, "You're getting really excited." I was like, or because anytime they go to my nan's house, it was my nan gives them a packet of ham. Just feeds them ham for the entire time that they're there. So they just love going to my nan's house. So it was if my parents are going over to my nan's, you going to Nana's? You're going to get ham? And we're not bringing them. She keeps giving them a processed ham. I used to do that with my ma's old dog. I used to always say it. My dad used to buy fancy ham.
Yeah.
For himself, and I used to always say to the dog, "Daddy has ham." And he'd just run over to the fridge and start going, at the fucking fridge.
Yeah, pissing off other people with their dog, using their dog to piss them off is it's great enjoyment for people who don't have dogs.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because my parents would be very particular over what they eat, what kind of food they get and all. Sometimes if there's no treats or no chicken, I'll give them cheese. They're not allowed giving them cheese. I was like, it's not a bit of cheese. I love cheese. I don't eat cheese.
Yeah, my dogs are bollocks.
Why does he not eat? And is he very fussy?
No, he eats everything. That's the problem.
He wants everything you have.
Even if you don't have it, he wants it.
Yeah, I guess like if you don't want to eat your dinner, you can just throw it on the ground.
he's just a fucking prick.
See, all dogs are. Everyone goes.
Oh, he's good crack though.
Yeah, he had his birthday, didn't he?
Yeah, it was his birthday the other day.
Yeah, what age is the dog?
8.
8.
Yeah.
Oh. Right. Is it a purebred or is it like a mixed breed?
Yeah, no, he's purebred.
All right. That's They live a little bit less on purebreds.
Yeah, I think his life expectancy is like 12 years or something.
He's still got another few years left of him.
But like the last one we had lived to, I think he was like 14.
Yeah, that's really old for any dog. I think most dogs' life expectancy is 14 to 16. It's pretty good for a dog.
Yeah, something like that,
yeah. Yeah, so we ran out of stories. I never want to talk about dogs. I never thought this would happen on my podcast. It's how we push it out. We'll just keep talking about dogs. So
Yeah,
I guess it's a good way to end it there.
Yeah, Mark loves dogs.
It's like I kind of feel like same way I feel about babies or kids. It's like they're grand. I don't want one. It's just like okay, you can throw a ball and like pay fast. I don't mind that. I don't dislike dogs. I just like on the life thing of do you want a dog? I like meh.
Well, that might change though. Well, dogs probably won't because you're old enough. But like the baby thing might change.
Baby thing might change. Why are you thinking about taking the dive now? Is this how you tell me you're going?
No, I should just say like that. Like that changes.
Yeah.
Like I used to like not particularly like kids. Now I don't really mind kids.
And next year you're going to want kids. That's a steady progression, is what you're saying. Now everyone has like a biological clock. I mean, people don't think men have biological clocks. Maybe some don't. Maybe it isn't as common. But I think it's probably maybe a little bit. If we're going to be a little bit sexist here, probably a little bit stronger in women. But I definitely do see like even with men, there's a stage in men where they're like going from I'll never have kids and going oh well maybe to I'll have a kid kind of thing. They never say I want a kid. They never admit to wanting a kid. They're like that's as much as you'll get out of men. It's like maybe, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be as bad as I thought, maybe. Whereas women's like, I think, because definitely there's a switch, and it usually happens between 27 to 33, to where you're like, there's that the women are like, yeah, kids, to like, oh, yeah, I want a kid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, because I know a few people who have kids now, and they are like when I was in my 20s, I never wanted a kid. Like I used to say, I'd never having kids, and then I was in my 30s.
when you were in your 20s, you never wanted kids.
No, but like I was talking to girls before, and they're like, when I was in my 20s, I never wanted kids.
Because I was going to say you're only like 30, like what, 2 months or something.
Yeah, well, now I'm 30. That switch is completely flicked. And they said like when they hit like 31, 32, they're like they started thinking that their mindset changed and yeah. I think it happens for some people. I think men are maybe a little bit different. I think men not as much.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Are you going to have kids? Is this going to be something for you?
Probably eventually.
You've already decided what kind of a dad you're going to be. I kind of feel like you've already laid the work. You know you're going to be like a very strict dad. That like.
Yeah, I'm not going to be I'm going to be very, very fucking mean.
So, like, I think that groundwork, I know people are like, we're not going to have kids, but if we do, and then, like, I was like, so do you want kids? So I was like, we're not going to have kids, but, it's always, but, if we do.
If we have kids.
If we have kids. Then I was like, you're just lying to yourself. You want kids. Like
I don't know, it's just... It's one of those weird things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, it is one of those things.
You see, I like being on my own and doing my own thing.
Yeah, Exactly. I think you're still kind of trapped in the early 20 thing where you have a job, you don't really have any responsibilities, and people don't want to leave that part of their life behind. And then there's life comes straight at you like a speeding train.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thing. Like,
yeah, well, I do think definitely men. There's a stage where it doesn't happen for all lads, but I'm just generalizing here. But like where there's a switch between lads when they're in, let's say, 26. There's a big difference between 26-year-old lad and 29-year-old lad in terms of just like mentality. Like there's definitely, like even when you're 26, you're like, oh, I don't care I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not planning for it. And I just want to go out drinking all the time. And then 29-year-old person being like, so restart planning for the future. Like, am I in what path am I on here? And there's you take things more serious. And you start to think about lads who are still in that kind of, oh, let's just go get wasted all the time. And why you want to worry about saving for shit? Or you kind of look at them as more annoying. You kind of go, oh.
I know people in their 40s that are still like that.
Yeah, well, like I said, they're running from something. But anyway, we'll leave it there. That was very deep to end the show. That was like,
yeah, we got very serious there.
Yeah, I got super serious near the end. Kind of felt like we should make a dick joke or something to break the tension.
And we're back.
Well, anyway, we'll better end it there before we start crying or talking about our feelings or shit. Something crap like that. And we'll be back next week on our 100th and what is it, 98th show.
Yeah,
we're getting there. We're very close getting there.
We're very close to you know what.
Yeah, the episode that shall not be named. Talk to you then.
Shut up and sit down.